today to witness another session of bold expression. So bold expression, is here today, and today we will, be talking about the topic, the effect of our words and actions on others. So my name is Olanlisi Olukayode Ajayi. It is a privilege and honor to have my two, lovely sisters joining us this morning, to discuss this topic, how effect and our actions, have affected a lot of people. And this topic could be, in a positive and negative way. But basically this morning we're going to be, looking towards more about negative, how our effects and actions have affected people. Some people have suffered, the actions of words that people have spoken to them. Some people are still dealing with it, even right now, that they don't know how to come in about it. Even bringing it to parenting, there's some parents that are going through some things and they don't know who to share with. So they think that doing their children, good, and they started, sharing some things they're not supposed even to discuss with children, young adults with them. With that leads to, some challenges, experiences that these young adults go through, without knowing that the effect of their actions and the words is now, affecting these children negatively. So without any further waste of time, I'd like to bring in, my lovely, ladies that are joining us. Can you please introduce yourself?
Okay. My name is Mary Joseph. I am a psychotherapist here in Nigeria.
And my name is Lola Adeyemo, and I am a health coach from Indianapolis, Indiana.
Thank you very much. It's nice having you to join us this morning. So let's go, straight, to the point that, okay, how I'll go first, to Mary as a counselor, a psychotherapist, based on your experience, that over time. How can you tell us that, what have you seen over time, the effect of actions, that have, affected, people? What can you tell us? What bits, what is going out there, this day, and time? Can you please tell us what you have seen over time?
Okay. Of course, we know that words are powerful. Words are life, especially when it is coming from someone that means a lot to you. It's a different thing if someone you don't really know or someone you're not really close to say something to you. It's easy to just wave it off like, oh, they don't know me, so it doesn't matter what they think about me. But when someone close to you is making, this a statement, especially if they are negative, it's much more piercing, heart piercing. It is much more effective. It is much more soul wrenching. It touches you more. Okay, so I've seen cases where psychologically words and actions have created serious trauma in people. Now, when words are negative, we call them negative words, but psychologically, we call them verbal abuse. Okay? We call them verbal abuse because these are words that are able to bring down a person, cause them serious psychological problems. As simple as it seems, or will I say as normal as it seems, that people can just say things to probably their spouses, their children, you know, these words are these words can be traumatic for these people. It can lead to low self-esteem over a long period of time. It can lead to poor self-image over a long period of time. They will lose their confidence, they will lose their voice over a period of time. You just see that people are acting like remotes. You press go and they go. These are the causes of it. Okay. So when it comes to the psychological angle, like I said, it's more of a verbal abuse. I have seen many cases where some women, because of the consistent words their husband has used against them, it has completely lay a stamp in them, such that that is how they begin to believe that they are. I've seen cases where husbands tell their wives, oh, you are not beautiful, you're very ugly. Apart from me, nobody can love you, nobody would even like you, nobody can stand you. I've seen cases where these women begin to accept it that, oh, I'm not beautiful, I deserve whatever is going on in my life, and they are constantly put down. So when they come in and you're telling them otherwise, they are surprised, like, but this is not what I've been hearing over time. This is not what I've been hearing over time. And it is a problem. I had a case also of a lady, it was coming from her mother. Her mother was extremely verbally abusive, extremely. And this affected her in so many ways. It made her to get married to an abusive man. It from the abuse just continued. It just continued, and over the years, it has accumulated so much that her life is really not going well anymore. And when we were able to trace it down, we're able to trace it back to the word her mother. Okay, sorry, not mother. It was her foster mom. It was her foster mom. Her mom was late. It was her foster mom that brought her up. So the foster mom kept telling her all sorts of things. And this stuck with her over the years. And it was a problem. It was really a problem. We had to deal with so much. She was going through a lot of low self-esteem. Even when her spouse was abusive, she saw it as normal. She saw it as normal. And she also, met someone that was telling her you are ugly too. And I had to go back to her DP to check why is it this person they're calling ugly? Like, she's a very pretty woman. She's ambitious, she has her own money, but still she is in a mental prison because those words have stuck over time. So that is how much words spoken can have effect on a person's life over years. All in fact, sometimes through their lives if they don't go for therapy. So yes, words are powerful. Please.
Thank you very much. For the explanation we just given. And you mentioned about it's called, we're talking about negative words, but it calls verbal abuse too at the same time. So when you said that verbal abuse, something just struck in me, right? So we can say verbal abuse. Can we say it is can we how can we define it? Is it can it be subtle, or does it have to be aggressive to make the
No,
person know that I've been abused verbally? So what ways can we categorize and explain the verbal abuse, and to what extent that when people are speaking to others, in a subtle way, in aggressive manner, can they have negative effect at the same time? Salola, can you talk on that?
Well, you can see I've been battling with, it's like this technology. I've been trying to fix my stuff properly. It happens every time. So my sister has actually said some wonderful things about this verbal abuse, and let me talk from my own perspective, from the kind of background I have come from. The host might know a little bit about me, and I'm sure what she's saying now is a lot of different from what she knew me to be. For some time now, I've been having this program on the Facebook. I call it the weight stigma. Because when you talk about stigma, when you talk about stigmatization, it all has to do with the words that people have said or the actions people have put forth to actually, it's a stereotype. There's this kind of idea people have about people who are big, And as a result of that, I have been stigmatized all my life. There is no name I have not been called. There's no name right from the home. You know, when you see an 11-pound baby burn, everybody loves to hold her because she looks so plumpy, she looks so beautiful. So that was me. I was born big, and everybody wanted to hold me. Everybody wanted to be around me. But when I started to take my first baby steps, the lady that was taking care of me, my maid, my nurse, refused to carry me anymore because I was too big for her to hold. And so if we had to go a distance of like 30 minutes, she would leave the house like an hour before. So she would hold me by the hand. You can imagine a baby of a year plus will hold me by the hand, and I will walk by myself because she was not ready to hold me again. And growing up into that, I went when I got to the primary school, I was stigmatized. People called me names. All through my secondary school, I would not. Do you know that you could even be stigmatized with the eyes? I would not pass by anyone without them taking a second look at me. They want to look back and see, who is this? Can this be a student or a mother or something like that? You would see the look in their eyes. They would look back. They want to see, who is this? Who is this Iyapati? That's some of the words I was called. One of the names I was called. Or who is this? Who is this of Prokoto Nigerian football? People have said it. People have even said it both with their mouth and with their eyes. If a cousin of mine told me some time ago that I would never get someone to marry me just because we're together in the house. I just undressed, and she said, "Ah, Lola, I want to buy only rock fair." You know, meaning that, oh, look at you, you are this big, you can never get someone to marry. And those words of hers got at me, and I was ready to go and commit suicide. It
Wow.
was that bad. I was ready to go and commit suicide. You know, coupled with the fact that you have had a lot of things while growing up, and someone now said that, oh, especially at that marriageable age, you now feel that, oh, you mean I'm going to be left alone, nobody's going to like me, nobody's going to love me. And I said I was going to commit suicide. Thank God her mom, because we had a function back home. So her mom came to the rescue. So her mom started, let me say, brainwashing me back to normalcy. She was trying to tell me that, don't listen to your cousin. She said, look at me, I am big and I have a good husband, I am married, and I've been able to give back to your cousin and things like that. And as a result of that, I was able to calm down. And so
Before,
such
just to,
words don't have to be hostile. They can sound like an advice at times. People might make you feel that you are giving them an advice, and the advice can be very terrible. Because when I am big, I know I am big. So you don't need to put it at my face. You don't need to put it to my face again that I am big. I'm already struggling with the fact that I am big, or that I did something wrong. And now you now want to come like a counselor. You now want to come like a mother in Israel to want me to feel like, oh, you're giving me an advice, which is not it. The thing gets at me. The thing gets at me, and it could make me to just switch off and things like that. And so when you talk about verbal abuse, it doesn't have to be hostile. It might come like a kind word painted, but it's not really kind, because it's really getting back to getting at the person that is affected.
thank you very much. We're going to use you as our case study this morning. And I'd like to ask, during this period of you growing and developing, how were you able, to deal with it? What effect does that, have on you, or does it have any effect at all, or it doesn't have any effect?
On me growing up,
Yes, during all this period, that until until you're able to
actually,
get through it, what effect do they have on you, or does it not even have any effect at all?
of course, it has a lot of effect. You know, it makes it. Let me use this as an example. When I went for my A levels, I have been a sporty person. I like to play sport, and there is no game I've never been involved in. I am big, but I am very smart. I carry myself well. I engage in a lot of sports. And so I engaged in, we had a football game and I participated in it. And the following day, by the time I got to school, a friend of mine called me and said, Lola, come, let's go see something. I said, what? She took me to the notice board, and by the time I got there, I have been bugged. I've been bugged. There is this bus in my school then, we called it Dedembula. It looked like this Molue bus in Lagos. And so they drew me, and I was the goalkeeper. So they drew a goalkeeper. You know, this way they do it. They do like a cartoon from pictures. And so they drew me at the goalpost and they put the Dembula at the goalpost. And other people, they put other names. And so when my friend saw it, she knew that these people were actually trying to get at me. And so it gives me like a low self-esteem. I didn't feel good. I didn't want to go to class. I didn't want to go to school. I didn't want to mingle with them anymore because it's like they don't want me here. They don't like me here. It's like I'm no good. I don't feel good. I'm no good. I know I'm big, but somebody is now telling me again that I'm big, and somebody is looking down. And I played the ball so well. We scored the goals, but nobody is seeing the positive side of the things I did. They were seeing my negative form because everybody has been made to believe that slim is a good thing, that slim is the smart thing, that slim is the wise thing, which is wrong, which is very wrong.
Thank you very, very much. Over to you, Councillor Mary. And I'm going to say that, over time, even with me based, on my, experience. So I've had, people, my kids, have told me, sometimes when I say things, they come back to tell me that, they felt bad about that. Then I'll take time to explain to them that was not what I meant. So how important it is that, to season, the words that come out of our mouths, even though sometimes we do not mean it in a very negative way. But the person that is receiving it might be receiving it in a very negative way. Like Salola said that they might feel that it's an advice. It might come as if they are advising you. Meanwhile, the other person is not receiving it as an advice. How important are we, to season the words of our mouth that comes across to others? How important, is it that we watch, what we say, to people around us?
Okay, so excuse me, this brings us to communication skill. Okay, this is why it is very important for people to learn how to communicate, because communication is not just about talking and listening and being heard. It's about um, how you say your words, what you say. That's the choice of words, the mannerism, the verbal and the non-verbal um,
Yes.
communication or words. Okay, we have to learn how to deliver, these words. And your brain have to work fast, so it's a skill that has to be learned. You won't be talking and you're thinking of the right words. No, your brain have to work fast to be conditioned to even use the right words to begin with. And it starts from our heart. It starts from our motive. When you want to say something, what is your motive? Your motive is going to define the word that will be used to describe that thing. Let's say, for instance, a woman that has no children. People are fond of, just like my sister Lola said. It could be subtle, like an advice. You know, and let's say a woman that has no kids and concerned, in quotes, concerned friends and family are always in her face, asking her, when are we going to carry our child? Um, God will give you children, no, is our prayer. Now, to them, they are making prayers, right? Or they are praying for the woman. But depends on the motive there. If the motive is more on curiosity, more on just making a statement or a pass, it will sound offensive. If the motive is from a genuine place of concern, it will actually sound like a prayer to the receiver. Okay, so it could be taken in different ways. People have made the same statement, but some were offensive, while some were taken out of, oh, she was concerned about me, she prayed for me, and the person would even say amen. So the motive there is very, very important. The motive defines how this message is, the choice of words used will be used, rather how the choice of words will be used. The motive is going to be the one to wrap it up for you. So when you're saying something to someone and the intention, okay, let's say for instance, your a spouse did something wrong, or a husband did something wrong to the wife, and the wife wants to confront her husband about what he did. Now, her motive is going to determine how the husband is going to take that confrontation. Her motive is what will determine if she's going to if she's going to be attacking with her words, or if she's going to be bringing out remorse from the other person. So let's say, she's angry and she goes all, yes, you're a liar. You said this to me. Yes, this was what I found out. You lied to me. Now that is already an attack. And the response you will get back will be a defense. The other person will become defensive. They want to defend themselves. So at the end of the day, it will turn out to be a full-blown quarrel. They will quarrel over it, and nobody is going to probably even apologize to anybody. Both of them will get angry, and the whole purpose of the confrontation will be defeated. But if the motive is, I want to correct this impression, I want to correct his action, now that will even mold the tone, that will mold the approach. Oh, I heard about this. It hurts me so much. I really wish it's not true, but I want to also hear from you. You understand? Now you're coming from a place of openness. You're coming from a place of, I'm not here to judge you. I'm not here to attack you. I just want to understand. Now, from such an approach, you will get an explanation. From such approach, you will get maybe even an apology. So everything is about the motive. Are you saying those words to hurt? Or are you saying those words to correct? That is for parents especially. For parents especially, even spouses. When you say hurtful things, or will I say when you say things out of anger, your motive has to be defined. Are you saying it because you just want to express yourself, because this is how you really feel, and you want to probably get an apology in return? Or are you saying these things to attack and hurt the other person? So how the other person receives our words is mostly from the motive behind our words, the message we are trying to pass across, the unspoken message we're trying to pass across. I hope we got that.
Talking about motive, that's very, 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 very important, and that brings to this question. Um, Using like parents, either the dad that are going through some emotional trouble, that are having some challenges, and they have kids, whether young or whether they're young or they're teenage age, or they're young adults, and they feel that they're friendly with their children, and their motive is pure, their motive is it's positive, and they start telling the children the experience they have, the things that are going through in their homes. It could be the finances, it could be, whatever it is that they're going through. And then now, and they start to, to share and to talk with their, with their kids. But their motive is positive. What effect, can that have? Because building, their emotional um trouble, emotional challenges on their children, but they are coming from a very positive way. They do not know that, that it could impact, those kids. So how do you advise such parents? How do you, you know advise such parents, to handle, such, situation? Meanwhile, their motive is right. Their motive, it's positive. So, but they don't have an idea how that can affect, or, those children, those kids.
Well, I want to say that it doesn't matter how right a motive is, no matter the intention of a mother or a father. I believe that some things are better seen by the kids than being told to them, because it is always better for you to allow the kids to grow up to see things by themselves, so that you won't sort of poison their minds. You might have a very bad experience in your home, and that does not mean that, like, you giving like a form of advice, you want to say, okay, let me share my experience with my child, so that my child will know that this is, it's like, let me say, it's even common. It's common with us in Africa. You would discover that a lot of people will tell you that never trust a man. I am sure both of you have heard those words, and it came from the things that have been passed across all the way down from generations ago. You will hear some words that, oh, a woman is nothing more than a property. We have all heard a lot of things. And how did we hear them? We heard them from one generation to another because of their experiences. And that does not mean that's not what's going to be your own experience. But because somebody has polluted your mind, you're not able to make that decision, or you're not able to make how do I put it, to make the things, or to make your own decision from your own experience. You might even say, oh, because I had a terrible time with my husband or with my wife, you now want to sort of advise your child that, oh, you have to be careful. Some people even tell you that, don't don't do joint account with a man. Don't I know most of us have had some of these things. Don't do joint account with a man, don't do this, don't do that. You know, I want to say to parents that it's better for you to save your advice, keep your advice to yourself. Allow that child to go through his or her own personal experience and learn with it by putting some things into that child that, oh, this is what I experienced. It was a bad experience. And as a result of that, I want to counsel you to try to know how not to do things. Let me share with us this. It's like I've used this same example almost all through this week. Two people were interviewed, two siblings, both guys were interviewed. One of them was very successful, and the other was a drug addict. The other is a drug addict. Is any bad word you can call, any bad thing you can think about. And so both of them were interviewed. The first one, which is the younger child, well, was asked that, oh, how come you've been so successful? What has been your motivating factor? And he said, oh, I have watched both my parents grow. I have watched my father. My father was a drug addict. My father was any bad word you could think about. And I decided that I don't want to be like my father. And so I chose the different path. And the other child was interviewed, which is the elder brother. And they asked him, oh, how come you have been able to, how come you are like this? You are a drug addict, you are this, you are that. And he said, I only took after my dad. And so both of them had the same thing propelling them to be either positive or negative. It is still the same stimuli, but they reacted to it differently. And so if my parents had a bad experience in their home, I can decide that as a result of that, I am going to make my home heaven on earth. And somebody can say, oh, as a result of the things I saw my father did to my mom, I am going to do the same thing to my own wife. So it is their decision. So I would advise parents to save their advice, because the children have eyes they can see, they have ears they can hear, and they have their senses. So let them choose which one they want to do, which way they want to go.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Now, in addition to what has been said, now there's something called generational trauma.
Yeah, yeah,
Generational trauma. Trauma that is passed across, from parents to children. Children become parents, they pass it to their children, like that. So, this generational trauma, especially in a place like Africa, okay, it is so common. It is so common. And because of that, we have children who grow up to be highly, highly traumatized. So most times on my social media pages, I always talk about reparenting yourself,
yeah.
reparenting yourself. Because if you don't do that, you may have inherited some trauma from your parents. And if you don't reparent, you will pass it on to your children, consciously or unconsciously.
Unconsciously.
You will pass it on to the children. I knew, I once stayed with a neighbor. She was a single mom and she had been through a lot. And then she had this 8-year old daughter, and they were very close, very close. They would bathe together. They would talk about her relationship, just like you said, knowing where to draw the line. They
Yeah.
would talk about her hangouts with, with men, and she would discuss things. And I would overhear from my window some of their conversations, and the things that this girl is not supposed to be exposed to at that age.
At that age.
And she's going out on a date, and I'm hearing, "Oh, mommy, you look hot. Wear this one." 8-year-old. Yes, the dress is very short. You look hot. They will see you. She'll be hyping her mom, hyping the mom who is going out on a date, and she's fully aware of everything. Now, it's even from that period I stayed with them, I could already see what the child was turning into.
Mm-hmm.
It got to a point this child her teacher, accused her teacher of molesting her. It was not true. She accused the teacher was sent out of the school. It was much later, as a child, she probably confessed to a classmate, and the classmate opened up to somebody else, and the truth came out. So a child who can go to that point, probably because the teacher scolded her that period, or the teacher did something to offend her, and she felt she could accuse him
Set the
of
teacher up.
molestation.
Yeah.
So you can imagine what the child is already becoming. So yes, parents need to know where to draw the line, and they also need to reparent themselves so they don't pass the wrong things down to their children. They need to sit down, in fact, go for therapy, sit down, pick out those negative mindsets that has been infused into them, those negative and unhealthy behaviors that they have grown to get used to over time. They need to get rid of them and digest more positive things, relearn how to treat their children differently. So yes, it is important that even parents reparent themselves, or adults reparent themselves, either as a single or as a married. Reparent yourself as an adult, even as a teenager. Reparent yourself. Learn afresh. Know how to sieve out those negative things so we don't pass them down to the children. Yeah.
Excuse
Okay.
me. I just want to add a little bit to what she said, and it's a big thing. And what is that? She said something about going for therapy. That is something you would never tell an African. An African would never tell you, would never believe that they need therapy. And somebody was saying that all your pastor can do is just to pray about it. But your pastor cannot give you therapy. There are people who are trained in this aspect of therapy in different areas of our lives, that when it is necessary, we go for therapy. Even in the words that we speak, even the Bible says how forcible are right words. There are a lot of words that are even not right, and you're not even supposed to say as an individual. Talk less of as a Christian or as somebody that has the that has the good of the your friend or your partner or your whoever, your neighbor in mind. So there are some right words that are not even supposed to be said, and so therapy is a big thing. That is like probably our host might need to think about this and
Yeah.
bring it up some time ago, some time from now, and let's just people need to know about it. The only way they can know about it is for them to be taught. When they
Yeah.
keep hearing it, then they know that therapy is also good. It's good for children, good for adults, good for anybody in whatever area of our lives.
That's a very good one. Like like you mentioned, especially from Africa, they've seen therapy as a stigma. That maybe you have to have mental illness or whatever to do therapy. So it will be one of the topics we're going to be addressing, later on. Meanwhile, moving forward, what advice do we have for parents? For parents or even young adults that are living in the moment of the spoken words, the effect of the words that have been spoken into their life growing up, or that have been spoken into their life in their marriage, or they've been spoken into their life, even amongst friends, there's some words that people tell you that just sticks with you, that you cannot comprehend how to get it past it. What advice do we have? Like we were talking about therapy. Right now we just mentioned about therapy. What about those that therapy is the best option to pursue? So basically, what advice do we have for people living in the moment of the effect of the words that have been spoken into their life, that have been spoken into their marriage, that are living in it, that was spoken into them, like for example, that the one uh, Saloma mentioned, that she said that they told her she would never get married because she was, on the big side, so what advice do we have?
Well, the first thing, like you said, is such people need to go for therapy. But we have some people who don't know the importance of therapy, who don't value therapy. And therapy comes in several ways. The first thing that I would tell such people is you need to really come you need to come to terms with your person. Who are you? If you are able to get to that level where you are able to realize who you really are, then you need to place those words alongside with who you are. Do they match who you are? If the words don't match who you are, then there are a few things you can do about it. You have to brainwash yourself, to talk yourself out of it. You have to talk yourself out of it. You heard words, and so you have to use words to counter what has been said against you or said at you. And there is this something that brainwashing does. You have to keep talking about it. Like lately, there's this clip I listen to every morning, affirmations that tell you about yourself, who you really are, coming to terms with who you are, and really when you were born, you were beautiful, you were wonderful, you are a joy of the whole world. Everybody wanted to hold you, everybody wanted to carry you, because this is a bundle of joy. And so what has happened to that joy? You need to find it back in your, okay, I was created good, beautiful, and so where is the beauty? The beauty has to come from your mind. Has to come from your mind. It's a self thing. It's a personal thing. You need to discover who you really are and match your words with who you really are. When any word is being spoken to you that doesn't match who you think you are, trash the words. Trash those words and just keep your focus on who am I. And if you're able to get to be one on one with who you really are, then you'll be able to help yourself out of those words. But I don't want to say that I will not want to agree with the fact that we have some extreme cases. Some people have been badly wounded in their minds, and so such people need to be advised to go for therapy. They need to be advised to go for therapy. Some things have happened to people in their past, even in their growing up, that they really need to. Something happened to my boy lately, my second son, and I have been just I have overlooked it to some extent. And that night when we just got talking with him, he just broke down and started crying. This is somebody that is very hard hearted. For anything to break my son down, you would know that this is just the peak of it. And I had to talk to him. I said, if you think you need therapy, just let me know. I'll make an arrangement for you. You get to see someone that you'll be able to talk to that will help you out, because children don't listen to their parents. We need to get that straight. The more you talk, they keep hearing the wrong things, even if you have the best of the motives in the whole world. Because
Yeah.
children get to a point where they feel that their opinions should count. And so if you see that, oh, this opinion is like will burn your hand or would do something negative, and you don't want to mess with their opinions, you don't want to mess with them. There's a certain stage in their life that you don't want to mess with them. They feel that I also know. And so if you get somebody outside the home to talk to them, to do therapy for them, especially somebody trained in the act of therapy, then it is always better. But if it is not an extreme case, I believe that words of affirmations will help to talk yourself out of some negative words you have heard. Then to really come to terms with your personality. When you talk about personality, it is not all about your dressing. It is not all about your makeup. It is not all about your high heel shoes. Your personality is those qualities that are embedded in you. I am sure somebody must have given you what, even if it is just one comment, one good comment out of 100 comments. Hold on to that comment. That means there is something good inside of you. Hold on to that comment and say, oh, at least somebody said something good about me. That means I am not totally bad. And in fairness, nobody is totally good and nobody is totally bad. You just need to know that. And so focus on the good attributes that you have. Your personality and those good attributes. I would rather somebody commended my kindness than for someone to tell me that, oh, I love your Versace shirt. I love your Gucci shoes. I would rather somebody say, oh, I love your kindness. I love your sweet spirit. That one gives me more satisfaction than for someone to tell me that, oh, I love your haircut. By the way, I like your haircut, my host. So that's just my point of view to that.
Yeah, in fact, that's a good one. Like you said, I was once too, one of the parents that that did not really realize how important therapy is, even for us as parents, even for children. But my children have made me realize over time. The first time my oldest daughter said that she went to therapy in school. I said, what? Are you okay? I was like, But she sat me down, and told me that, and like, Lola said that, even though you're very close, there's some things they feel that, they don't want to, to discuss with you as parents. Not that they have anything against you, but sitting, with a therapist, would actually, help them. So it's one of the things, we're going to be, discussing, very well. So, like you said, you have to come to term with yourself. You really have, to know, yourself. You don't need, your husband, your friends or whatever validation to make you who you are. Yet it's good to have compliments from your spouse, from your friends, from whoever you hang out with. But at the same time, you don't build and base your life waiting on validation from people, because before you can, strive ahead. So, coming back to the effect, of words that people have spoken into your life, you need, to validate yourself. You need to know yourself, who you are. You need to know how beautiful, how powerful, how awesome you are. We've been saying, from the discussion, you were born good, you were born beautiful. You were born, but it's just, people, around you have made you to think otherwise, about, yourself. I don't know if you have something to say to Councillor Mary, to that.
Okay, yeah, in fact, my sister Lola said everything. In fact, what she described there was self-therapy.
Yeah.
Yes, it's self-therapy. And I would just add a little about the process, what actually happens in our mind when we do these things she has said. Now, imagine the mind like a hub filled with data. Imagine the mind like a hub filled with data. Now, the existing data are all those negative words. They are the data that have been written in that mind. And we act according to how we think. So if the mindset is clogged with all those negative things, the tendency is that you will act accordingly. You can't be thinking negative and be acting positive. It's not possible. Even the Bible says that it's out of the abundance of the heart
The
the mouth will speak.
mouth speaks.
Okay. So everything we do starts from the mind. Now, like she said, when you begin to affirm, to counter those data that has already been written, those negative and unhelpful words that has been spoken, those behavioral patterns that are very, very hurtful to to the victim or to the person. When you begin to affirm, you begin to say counter things, positive things that counters all the other things in the hub or in the mind. What happens is there is a rewriting.
Hmm.
There is a rewriting. The brain recognizes a new set of data. When you begin to affirm, now this affirmation is not a one-time thing. It takes a period of time. You have to keep at it. You have to continue it for months. You have to keep at it. Now, the more the brain recognizes this new information, it will begin to rewrite, the information, the data on it. So to go, mind begin to absorb the positive. The negative begins to go, the mind absorbs the positive. Now, over time of confession, what eventually happens is the mind fully will now recognize the new long period of time. The mind accepts this new data. It has completely rewritten, and then you have someone who thinks differently. Now, that is what we do in therapy too. Is what we do in therapy. Now, people will even call it brainwashing. Yes, it is a brainwashing technique too, in the layman's term. So you're rewashing your brain. to take the positive as against the negative. So yeah, so everything she said is it's completely it's completely true. Yes.
Please permit me to add something to it. You know, I was going through somebody's Facebook chat, and I was shocked when they started asking the question. And what is the question? The question is, where is your mind? You know, when
Hmm.
I started reading some answers, I was shocked, and I was able to realize myself that I don't even know what the mind is. You know, I was able to discover that the mind is sort of, you know, somebody said your mind is in your heart, your mind is in your head, your mind is in whatever part of the body. But it's very funny to know that the mind is not even in the body. The mind is like, let me say, a switch with which you connect your world, with which you connect the waves. The waves come in, either it's a positive wave or it's a negative wave. It gets to the mind, and so the mind programs it into you. And so when you are receiving those negative things, and funnily, I don't know why. Maybe my sister that is trained in this part of counseling will be able to give us the answer. I don't know why negative things stick more than positive things. It is like, you know, they say the heart of a man, the heart of a child is tabula rasa. That you know, there are two parties to that. See, the heart of a child is tabula rasa. That is when the child comes to the world, that things stick on it. Another party says the heart of a child is filled with evils. That it is when the positive comes that you will not counter the evils. So probably we are going psychology now. I don't know if she'll be able to explain to us better. Negative thoughts are better, or they are faster connected to our minds than positive. That is why it takes like 100 times over to counter any negative thing that has been put in the mind, or that the mind has attracted into your brain. And so we have to work more to get those negative things out of the mind. We have to work more to get those negative words out of our mouth. There are a lot of negative words we have received from our parents. You know, just before I came up, I was saying some words to my daughter, and she was saying that at times when you talk, I don't even know what you say because I don't understand what you say. He said, you are speaking some Yoruba, I don't understand. I said, because I don't understand them as well. It was passed down to me, and I just say it just the way I've received it. And so to beat those things, they are not negative words, though. They are just like all these adages that we speak some adages, and she will say, I don't understand them. I said, some of them I don't understand too. But because I've been passed down, they are stuck there in your memory, and to get it out is a lot of work. And so I don't know why it is like that, but I know we have to work more, we have to work harder to get positive words, positive thoughts into our minds than we do negative. Negative is like it's a permanent thing, it's a general thing. But to put negative things out and to bring in the positive takes a lot of harder work, which makes it, some people will they'll make some confessions, some affirmations for like few days, and they'll say, I'm tired of saying these things. It's not working. But you have to keep saying it, we have to keep confessing it, we have to keep aligning our thoughts to the right things that your mind is attracting to you. So I don't know if you have an answer to that, my sister.
Okay, what I'll just say is I personally believe that the negatives stick more because of um the counter emotions or the emotions that comes with it. Most times the negative come with intense emotions, deep emotions of hurt, deep emotions of offense, maybe feeling of maybe betrayal, feeling of being insulted. So they are usually it or hate or bitterness. So there are a lot of intense emotions. I mean, when it's positive, positive just, it will just release the feel good hormone, the dopamine, and you just feel good about yourself and you're just happy. But over time, it wears off. It wears off. But the negative sticks harder because of
Because of
the
the
intensity
pain.
of the emotion. Yes, the intensity of the emotion. Because even if there are times when people may have said something to you, you may have even forgotten the exact word, but you still remember that those words hurt you. I don't know if you've experienced that before.
Yeah, you
You
remember the
maybe
face.
cannot
You remember the face of the person that this person has hurt me. You may even have forgotten what the person said.
what happened exactly. You may have forgotten what happened, but you still remember that this person said something to me that I can never forget. Now, the reason you are remembering the pain is because of the emotion that came with it. You may even forget the word, but the impact the word made is hard to forget. Is hard to forget. That's why negative
Thank
words are much more difficult to deal with, really.
Thank you very much,
So,
Mary. We're wrapping up right now. We only have few minutes to go. But before
okay.
we will round up, I just want us to use about 2 or 3 minutes. So we're talking about effect of what the effect of our words on others. Bringing there's some that there's some people that they don't even it's not even about the effect of words that people have spoken to them. They've spoken it even to themselves,
Yeah.
being through the challenges they've gone through, they've been through in life, through things they've had, they've witnessed themselves, and they just conclude within themselves that this is who they are, that is what they are. I know that we'll be talking about affirmation, we'll be talking about scene therapy. What advice do we have for people like that, that they've witnessed, they've been through like challenges in their lives, and they just come to conclusion within themselves that this is who they are.
Well, I want to say that one or two advices I have for such people is if you have been so badly wounded yourself, and for you to get out of that pain, if we have people around you who actually experienced what you went through, who knew what you went through, and who realized the conclusion or the intensity of the negativity you have put yourself in, the first thing I would suggest is that you need to change your environment. You change your environment and get yourself around the right kind of people that will help you to get out of that problem. If you remain with that abusive, if you remain in that abusive environment or abusive or the circumstance that surround what you went through, you are going to continue to remember it and it will continue to stick there. But if you change your environment, and if people who know you enough and who love you enough are there around you, they should also help to encourage you. They'll help to speak the right words into your life. They help to encourage you. When they see that you are down, then they have to be very sensitive to your looks, to your gestures, to everything you do. They just have to be there for you. At that point, you cannot help yourself. You need people around you to help to get out of that situation. So two things: change your environment and make sure the people that are around you are speaking the right words into you. That's the second thing.
Thank you
That's
very
perfectly
much.
true. Yes, that's I totally agree. Also, stepping aside a bit, I would say we really need to learn to be kind to the people around us with our words. We need to learn to say the right things. We need to learn to be kind with our words, and also to watch our motive at all times. There are some things that may sound, okay, but they still hurt. So we need to
Yeah.
check and be sure that our motive align with the message we want to pass across.
Thank you very, very, very much. We've come to the end of today's session, but we've learned a lot today. To parent, reparent yourself. We need, to be consciously, learn to speak, positive words, to people around us. We need to, if we need to change our environment, we need to do that. We thank you. We want to thank, Councillor Mary, Pastor Lola, for your time. And before, closing, let us just say a word of prayers to those out there. Father, in the name of Jesus, we thank you for your children that are out there that, the effect of, negative words have held back, that the effect, of words, that have, have shattered, their life, have held down. Father, today we declare the freedom in the name of Jesus Christ. Father, we ask of you, every negative word have been spoken into your children's life that has held them bound. Father, we set them free today in the name that is above every other name. Thank you for your children, Jehovah God, today that have come on board to share, their knowledge, their experience. Lord, we ask you, Jehovah, this morning to water them in the name of Jesus. We thank you, Father Lord, for in Jesus' name we have prayed. Amen. Amen. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
See you next time.
Thank
God
you,
bless
All right.
teacher.
you.
Thank